I mean, if you really squint at it the right way, it's all a matter of preference. Thank you to our $5 patron, Sinis Lancelot, and a big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Before I must break down of what you would rather have and what I would rather have over all of Asta's abilities and strengths and all of Yuno's abilities and strengths, please feel free to leave your own pick in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below, and I'd appreciate any support you're willing to give. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here, and here we are to break down which one you would prefer, which one I would prefer. What would you rather have? Asta's entire ability set and or Yuno's entire ability set. And notably, when I mean entire, I'm essentially mean you just transform into them without like gaining their physical appearance. Like you would still look like you, but you would be as strong, as fast, as durable, have all their hacks and ability, like all that. That's what I'm talking about. And the thing is, right? If you would ask me like 50 chapters ago, and this is in verse by the way, because it'd be kind of unfair to take Asta out of verse. You can still have utility for anti-magic out of verse, definitely, but still, I'd say it's a lot more fair to do it in verse. But I would have gone with Asta probably like 50 chapters back. Anything before the Xenon fight, I probably would have gone with Asta. Even when Yuno had Saint Stage and Asta just had like partial Devil Arm, just because anti-magic is so good at what it does, and Asta was so strong in the narrative that's like, why wouldn't you just take his abilities? Because you get all the gains for free. Like, it's free gains. It's free gains. But in actuality, let's go over something. So, for who's physically stronger, it's obviously Asta. Like, I hate to say it. As strong as Yuno is, like, especially using mana to amp himself, Asta, it's literally, it's crazy to think about. But Lieb literally notes that I barely do anything. I just provide the anti-magic. Asta just has so many raw gains at this point that he's absolutely swinging through all these attacks. So Asta just has the raw force and I want to call it strength of will, but I guess the strength of gains to just slice through everything. So if you want to go for like a raw physical set, you definitely want to go with Asta, just because he has the gains, he has the appearance for the gains, and obviously pretty much no one except for people who can reinforce themselves with magic to a point that's beyond your natural strength can stop you. Like, I'm pretty sure the only other person that may be as physically strong as Asta, and even now I'm doubting that, is Yami. But who knows? Like, Asta kind of, I'm not sure if Yami could do some of the things that Asta was doing, even if he had anti-magic. However, the thing is, it's not like Yuno is exactly physically weak. You can definitely reinforce yourself with magic. That's what reinforcement magic literally is. So, who knows? If you want to go for like a slightly weaker physical build, but still have all the properties, you could definitely go with Yuno on that one. But personally, I'd say if you want to lean towards more raw physical gains, you're definitely going to want to roll with Asta. Asta has the physical strength. He has a more armored, like he's much more of a tank than Yuno too. Like Yuno actually doesn't take that much damage throughout the series. Meanwhile, Asta gets curb stomped, thrown around, body back. Like Asta gets put in so many darn packs, it's shocked that he's not rolled up yet. But the thing is, Yuno also isn't lagging behind that. But that's the weird thing, right? While Asta may be the superior in general physicality, like Asta can definitely lift more, throw more, punch harder, like all that stuff, Yuno doesn't lag too far behind, and he supplements it with what Asta doesn't have. So like, for example, right, while anti-magic is very, very flexible as like a construct manipulation thing, like we know that Asta's entire fully functioning, I'm pretty sure right arm, hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, anti-magic is what makes up all of Asta's right arm. Like, that's literally nothing but anti-magic. And obviously, with enough control of anti-magic, as we've seen with Asta, you can form wings, you can make your sword a whole lot bigger. It's very, very flexible. It's essentially dark matter with the properties of being able to cancel out magic. And that is very, very useful. And you can get even more creative than Asta has with it. I'd say that Asta is still focused a lot on using like the conduit style. Like, he's using the blades and then infusing them with anti-magic. Meanwhile, I think Asta should just be like, it may sound wild, but I feel like if you had Asta's anti-magic abilities, especially all the abilities that he has in terms of manipulating it, you should be creating walls, just throwing down anti-magic spears, sickles. Like, I would legit just reel back, cover it. Like, if I don't want to throw away my sword, I would legit just create like a whole spear of anti-magic and just launch it at somebody. Like, you could just do some real good darn damage with that. So anti-magic is very, very flexible, but where I say Yuno surpasses that is that despite with the ability of anti-magic, you can fly, you can manipulate anti-magic very well, you have the ability to form constructs. Yuno not only has the same construct creation, but also all the on the extra perks that come with that. He can make constructs, as we see when he makes his axes and swords and hammers and blades and stuff like that. Like, he can do all that. On top of that, he has the ability to just freeform fly. Like, the thing with Asta is that he needs to pop out the wings or be manipulating his blade to fly on it. Meanwhile, Yuno's kind of just zoom. Like, he doesn't rely on anything to fly. He can just fly throughout the air. And on top of that, in terms of just sheer like variability, is that the word? No, variety is the word. I don't know why I said variability, but in terms of sheer variety, I feel like you can get more out of Yuno, because not only do you have the same construct creation, but at the same time you can amp that with spirit magic, and then you can amp that further with Saint Stage, and you can just start throwing around these massive wind spears. And also, like, just due to how we haven't seen much of Asta, like, to be fair, actually, now that I think about it, he did make that huge Demon Destroyer blade when he sliced that ancient demon in half. So that is crazy. But, like, imagine you just summon multiple tornadoes. Like, if you were Yuno, you could literally become a walking cataclysm. Like, worst comes to worst, you literally just annihilate the entire area with, like, 5 tornadoes. And we know he can do it, because even beginning of series, Yuno's whooping out tornadoes left and right. So, Yuno that's this much stronger, this much faster, you know that man has definitely got some tornadoes under his belt. You can do some wild stuff with that. So I think that'd be fun too. And on top of that, star magic. Star magic is a big thing here, because the ability to just freely teleport between stars, like, it's just too good of an ability, right? Because notably, here's the thing. We don't know if there's a range limit. Like, we don't know if Yuno has to be within like 100 meters of his stars, or so on and so forth. Like, we don't see his stars, like one in the Clover Kingdom, one here. But I'm assuming, considering you can just set it up, you can literally just start planting stars everywhere. You could literally just become like a free moving agent, and the stronger you grow, the more stars just naturally pop up. Like, I'm assuming Yuno can definitely place them. He placed them very purposely in the most recent chapter, but I'm feeling like if worse comes to worse and you can't like properly place it, the stars are just going to be like, oh, well, looks like he got 0.2% stronger. I'm going to pop up here now, and you just have more and more vantage points. So I think that's really, really cool. See, like, I'm having this live debate with myself, right? Because anti-magic is perfect as an offense and defense tool, right? Like, you coat yourself in anti-magic, and unless you're literally Lucci himself, no, you are Asta level, and you coat yourself with anti-magic, unless you are Lucci himself, no one's getting to you. Like, Lucci could probably just stomp right on through it, but if you are anyone else, you're literally going to have your life force drained away from you as you try to stomp on it. And that's insane. So to see that level of defense, it'd be great, but like, it's really teleporting. Teleporting is what got me here, right? Because you can easily make the argument, and it's kind of just especially explicitly proven by the last chapter, like, Asta is just the general superior to Yuno. Like, sure, Yuno can teleport, he has a wider variety of abilities. Even that's arguable though, because Asta, like, see, that's see, now I'm going back and forth with myself, right? Because like, this teleportation, Saint Stage, the arrows and stuff like that, does Yuno shown variety overwhelm Asta shown variety? Because the ability to negate the cause and effect of magic is insane. The ability to reflect magic spells is insane. The ability to just smack people with anti-magic. Oh, hold on, I'm flipping again. Yo, I think this is like, I wish I could, like, I plan to come in and say, yo, I'm taking Yuno hands down because of star magic. But like, I feel like the creativity you could have with anti-magic would just be insane. And sure, it's going to suck. You don't have reform flight unless you're in like DU, and DU only lasts 5 minutes with Asta. And sure, you can train. You can probably train to get to like knock levels and just become way better at it. But that stamina limit is really bad. But that's the only thing. Like, I could just be throwing up anti-magic walls and spirit. But that's the thing, right? I think Asta can do that. He just doesn't do it that often. Like, I can't think of a time when Asta himself was just like, oh no, hold on, let me just, and like, he threw up his right arm, or like smacked the magic spell away with his right arm, because notably his right arm is made of anti-magic, so he should just be able to just like catch a spell, crush it, and just call it a day. But he always like brings up the blades. And I know the blades have special properties too, and that's why he constantly uses them. Like, you know, you can reflect with some, you can cancel out the magical properties, one cuts only what it wants to cut. But I feel like, considering we've seen characters like Yuno and like Yami just like hurl out their magic everywhere, like one of my favorite poses and panels of the entire series is when Yami powering up literally like just like he flexes and the darkness just radiates off of him. It like comes off in plumes, insane large blasts and bursts of energy just everywhere. So I feel like if Asta could learn to do that with anti-magic, then I'd be set, because no one's touching me. Right? And the thing is, I think I may have to go with Asta. Like, I'm changing my mind live on air, because not only do you have the gains, not only do you have the flexibility of anti-magic, which Asta gets more liberal with it, but on top of that, no one can sense you. Like, as long as you keep your mouth shut, no one can really tell where you are. Like, unless you run into like Veto's alive again. I think Veto can read Ki. So, like, unless you run into the two people on the planet, well, two people in the known verse, who we know that Ki is something that comes from Yami's home country. So there's probably a whole bunch of Ki users over there that can just be like, I hear you, right? Like, I see you're there. But like in a mana focused world, like the Clover Kingdom, like the Spade Kingdom, stuff like that, you're pretty much undetectable 99% of the time. Throw up a dust storm and no one's finding you. Sure, they may be able to tell by your like movement or your shadows in the cloud, but like literally, you are insane in group battles, because you can literally come out of nowhere, your opponent unable to sense you, because their sixth sense, the thing they mainly rely on to be able to react to things that they can't directly perceive, is absolutely useless against you, because you don't have a speck of mana. Not a drop, not a droplet, not a little tiny whiff. You have no mana at all. I said mana and mana, just two different times. I'm not sure which is it. Is it mana or mana? Because like I think mana is Black Clover and mana is Ben 10 of all things, but I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, hold on, I think I may just have to slide that to anti-magic, because when looking at the versatility of it, with the essentially perfect defense, perfect offense mindset, right? Because no one can touch you, because their magic, well, at least no one can touch you spell wise. If someone reinforces themselves magically, at least so far against Lucci, it hasn't been shown that Asta can like disable the magic enforcement. I think the main limit of Asta's anti-magic is that it can only affect magic that is external, right? Like magic that's directly in contact with it. But even then, Lucci caught the blade and he didn't suddenly get weaker. In fact, it was literally but then again, there's such a large gap, right? So I'm not sure. But the only issue I would have if I was an anti-magic user, especially to the level that Asta has, or the level that Asta is the idea that, oh no, I ran into the one dude in the entire verse who could actually just throw hands with me. But then again, I would like, see, Asta's a good person, because in that moment where Lucci was getting yelled at by the captain, I would not have said, "You magic knights." I would have literally just come up behind him, stabbed him straight to the chest, and tried to swing up. But I'd probably die for that. Not gonna lie. Like, at least the way Lucci, like, I remember making that review, and a bunch of y'all in the comments section were like, actually, Asta kind of low-key saved his life there, because if Lucci did that for just cutting off his horn, imagine if he did actual damage. So it's probably true that Lucci would like feel the blade pierce his back, turn around, bash me on the head, and then just start curb stomping me. So that wouldn't be any fun. But just in terms of saying variety, like, that's the wild thing. I just thought about it. As long as I can catch him, my Yuno counterpart wouldn't be able to do anything to me. I would literally just be sitting there, face tanking all their magical attacks, and literally all of them. And I could literally just swing my one blade and bash it right back at him. Like, the only thing I'd probably run into is like the parts of my face that are exposed, right? Like, a star magic user could teleport right next to me because a star appeared next to my face just by pure chance, or because they put it there, and then just shove the blade. Because notably, it seems like with conjunction, Asta is a little bit slower than Yuno in terms of speed. Like, essentially, Lucci can't catch Yuno. That's what's implied by the latest chapter. Like, mainly because, Yuno's literally teleporting. But at that same time, like, that's the only issue I run. I run into two issues if I'm the anti-magic user. One, I run into the being that literally just surpasses me in every single way, shape, and form, and I get curb stomped. Or two, I run into the one being that can teleport and then shove a spear in my throat. And then I'm in trouble. Because with the anti-magic, that's the crazy thing about WD. You're like coded in anti-magic. You're coded in negative mana. So like no one's actually going to be able to properly touch you without experiencing some negative side. The thing is, like, Life No or like power draining is something that only happens once extensively holding on to someone with anti-magic. Like Julius was holding on to the blade that was infected with anti-magic, and then he started to feel like his mana being sapped away. Like when Lucci, all the times that Lucci was holding the blade or grabbing it, he didn't show any effects of weakness or stuff like that, other than the fact that, you know, he got cut and stuff like that. So you know what, with the ability to fly, the great flexibility, like, I think it would come down to how flexible I can actually be with anti-magic. Because if I can legit just, like any other character in the verse with their mana, like a Mereoleona, a Fugelion, a Yami, like I can, heck, a Yuno, like I can legit just form whatever I want, form constructs out of my mana type, which would be anti-magic in this case. I'm sorry, my opening move is throwing an anti-magic spear through your chest. I want to see you try and face tank that. Like, I dare you. Because the thing is, if it negates it, that's the weird thing. Because it can't negate your magic reinforcement. Also, Lucci's fingers want to come off. Because Asta swung full force. Like, Lucci dodged and his horn went off. But I'm assuming he wasn't magically reinforcing his horn. So, if you're physically strong enough to face tank it, then yikes, I'm in trouble. But considering I'm as strong as Asta, good luck trying to face tank that. I'm cutting you through. I'm throwing a spear through your chest. I'm essentially a free-form menace. So, unfortunately, despite me wanting to side with Yuno here with his teleportation hacks, all the great mobility he has, the higher speed, the stuff like that, and obviously being beloved by mana is just like insane. But the thing is, being beloved by mana and being hated by mana is like essentially the same thing. Because like if Asta was in Xenon's domain, as long as he went DU, he's probably just fine. Because I mean, do we know? I think it does, because he has no problem moving around once he activates a DU, but he seems to have problems before DU gets activated. So I think Devil Unity does just give you passive like magic resistance because you're coated in anti-magic. So yeah, with all that, especially in verse, I would legit I'd solo the verse except for Lucci. And maybe the second level devil. Like, I'm legit throwing hands with every single person in existence if I'm as strong as Asta, except for those two. You know, those two, they can go off back to the underworld. I will leave them be. However, obviously real world, I'm just going to take Yuno. Like, the ability to teleport anywhere, the freeform movement, the freeform flight, all that works a whole lot better. And while I still would be like unstoppable if I was Asta, likely even in base form in our real world, I still think I'd have more fun with Star plus Wind Magic there. However, those are my thoughts. Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys also make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also do get that Patreon down below, and I greatly appreciate your support. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like. Well, I did that already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.